Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Gutierrez.
All right, brother. Good luck. Thanks. How you guys doing? Man, it's awesome to see so many people here coming supporting the Combat Control Foundation and everything we stand for, how we help our brothers and sisters out here, our families. And I want to take the opportunity right now, first of all, to say thank you for this even chance to talk to you guys. Carla, thank you so much, Carla, for having us here. We love you. We appreciate you. My son Brian, because he's singing, and I live in San Antonio, and I've told him when he was down, playing in green, I was usually in the back just hanging out and watching the crowd, and everyone's going out, and he's so good, and I'm in the corner. I'm like, yeah, man, he's a cool guy. I know him. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Why don't you go up there? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just hang out over here. You know what I mean? I just like the music. But Brian, thanks for playing. You're an awesome patriot as well. I appreciate you. So coming out here, Mike LaMonica hit me up and he's like, hey, you do me a favor? Can you speak at the Gala Foundation? I was like, sure, why not, right? And he's like, no, really? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I will. And, for me to come out and basically tell you a story and things like that, it means a lot, because as BL said here, this stuff is like super intimate. And when I say intimate, it's because when it happens to you, it changes your world. And usually I've been, in some awesome places, especially down at the Granite Ranch with Ronnie Raines and around, because I know a lot of people here. But they get a very different taste of the story. And you're going to hear it. So you'll actually hear two, because one's going to lead to another. But as he was saying, in October 2009, I was with a Special Forces team. We were hanging out, as the kids say now, doing hood rat stuff. And we basically had no home because we were just out there. And they said, hey, we were supposed to go to this one place as good Americans. We were in a certain spot, kind of stirred it up. And the international forces that were there, they're like, hey, you guys need to go. And we're like, what? We're here to fight. There's a war going on. And they're like, yeah, well, we don't really want to fight those guys. And we're like, well, we're here. We'll fight them all day. It's been fun. And they're like, no, you bring too much, so beat it, nerds. They kicked us out. So, 5 trucks driving through northwest Afghanistan, coming back to this place called Camp Stone. So we're just like homeless, living in trucks. We're just like, all right, cool. Well, what are we going to do now? Because we're always in the mindset of we're looking for work. Got to look for work. So they go, hey, Rob, so we're just going to venture out, go out here, just check it out. And I was like, okay, cool, man. So, and as BL said, sometimes you ask for a gunfight and you don't know until you get it when you're younger. And at that point, I was super, I would say, full of piss and vinegar. And I just wanted to get it, Just get it for America. There's payback. So with that being said, they're like, hey, a bunch of targets came up and they're like, can you guys go get these guys? And we're like, yes, we can. So we hit out for 4 or 5 days, going from street to street, block to block, fight after fight after fight. We get back and I'm just hanging out. I'm like, okay, I got to send these reports back in my cubby next to my cot and send it all out. And I'm like, oh man, I'm tired. I've been on the radio for like 3 or 4 days straight. I'm the only combat controller assigned to them. I'm the only one that can bring what I can to the fight and help out my SF, teammates there in the fight. And I'm like, I'm gonna take a nap, because I don't get to take a lot of those. So I'm about to take a nap. I lay down for maybe 5 minutes. All my stuff is clean. My radios are all done up. My batteries are good. My rifle's good. All my stuff. And I'm like, oh, I found some Licky Chewies. I was like, oh, I didn't even know I had that beef jerky in there. Damn, I needed that 2 days ago. And then basically they come banging on the door. Hey, Rob, we gotta go. I'm like, what? I was like, dude, I just woke up. Come on, man. And they're like, we gotta go now. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go to this one little operation center. And they come up and they're like, hey, this is it's kind of the real deal. And I was like, okay. To me, at that point, I'm like, all right, cool. What we got to go do? And they're like, hey, bad guy, real bad guy. Been chasing this guy for 8 years. Just popped up on the net. He's got maybe 10 guys with him. We're tracking him. And at this point, I was like, okay, you want to track him? Cool. So I call, get some planes, start looking at him. I'm like, why don't I just bomb him right here? They were like, no, we want him in person. I was like, okay, sure, man. You want to do that too? I was like, I kind of wanted to take a nap, but we can go do that. So then, pony up, send all this information out, all these other planes in the area, and we start heading out. We have this partnered Afghan force. And I would say, you know, a lot of my brothers here, all these other operators here that have some experience, they got some good teammates that they fought with that were Afghan. Some were Afghan commandos, things like that. And for us, we had the equivalent of like the bad news bearers. This was just a hodgepodge bunch of dudes that we picked up because we needed a fighting force with us because they didn't want Americans just going in and killing bad Taliban members by ourselves. And it wasn't our country to fight for at that point. So we wanted to lead them. We're like, okay, rounded them up, said we're gonna head out that way. So we start moving. We start moving out. Cover darkness, because darkness is our friend. We start moving out. And we get to this point with our vehicles and we say, well, you know, just for context, you understand, the city of Herat is in Western Afghanistan. It's actually probably the most Western portion of Afghanistan that is actually Westernized. So, but thing is, it's a real calm place, and that's where the enemy likes to go relax. We call it R&R for them, right? Where they kind of hide out, recover, and then they come out. But in my business and in our business, we don't want to really give them a rest. So previously in that same area, 4 trucks with guys from the Marine Corps went in there. 3 did not make it out. So I read all this stuff about it. And we're going to go in there and I said, hey, why don't we just stop and do this thing called a vehicle drop-off? I said, because if we drive through those roads, we're going to get blown up. And I don't feel like getting blown up today. So, because I really want to eat those hamburgers back at the Hooch, and they look good, and we haven't eaten for 4 days, man, I'm kind of starving. So they're like, yep, you're right, we're going to do this. So we start going out on foot, and we're moving. So, you know, us in America, we talking miles. They talking kilometers, right? So anybody been to Europe over here in kilometers, right? So I'll speak in kilometers just for the sense. So we get all these vehicles and we're moving out 3 kilometers on foot, hustling. Because darkness is our friend. We want to get to this point, catch this guy who's bed down in this one house and we know he's there. I got this army cat with us that has like 17 antennas and he's like, yeah, that guy's in that area still. I'm like, cool. We start moving out, get to it. Using planes and all kinds of high-tech stuff, and it was super awesome. And we get to this last portion called the last cover and concealment. And for context too here, understand that, you know, we have beautiful homes and stuff here in the US. They have like mud walls that happen to be like 20 feet tall. So for us, we use that as a kind of concealment. We get to this point, we kind of know where they're at. I'm like, okay, he's still there, cool. So for me, my job isn't to be an assaulter. My job is to bring firepower. Because, yeah, we have rifles. Can I shoot someone? Oh, absolutely. Do I like to shoot someone? Yeah, I want to shoot a bad guy, all right? That's every kid's dream. Join the military and shoot a bad guy in the face. So then, but in that portion, for me, my job is to bring every bit that the Air Force has to the battlefield and just vaporize people. It's a lot cleaner. Kind of want to be clean about it. So we get to this point, we check, we're like, yep, I'm looking at it, this guy's got this security element, X, Y, and Z, and we're like, we don't really care about that because we got guns and we're gonna go in there and we're gonna smoke this guy. We get to this point, through the gate, move right in. Right when they go in, turns out 2 guys on the rooftop, they see us and start shooting. I'm like, all right, the party started, here we go. So for me, as a combat controller that's JTAC qualified, I start talking to planes and I'm like, hey man, I was like, Jaguar 3-4 troops in contact, and we're moving in. And these planes are overhead watching. I got F-16s and what's called just a UAV flying overhead. And they're like, all right, we're tracking, we're moving. Guys go in, I'm moving down, cut the hallway, down an alley. I look, and to my surprise, there's this, I was like, man, it's this long stick. And I'm like, I don't think that guy's gonna sweep the floor. That ain't a broom. Guy comes out, the machine gun comes out, and I was like, oh boy, here we go, right? The rest of my team is moving into the house. I'm in this alleyway with this Afghan that can't speak English, and he's pointing at me going, hey. And I'm like, okay, shoot, that way. Because my Dari isn't that good. I can speak Spanish really well, but not Dari. So, make some contact, shoot. There happens to be this big cow right there. And I see gunfires exchanging. And I looked at beef totally differently from then on, because at that point, that thing took about 1 million rounds, and I just heard a cow that was stuck to a tree just being my shield for me. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want a hamburger out of that, but hey, thanks for the watch. Finish off that target, start rolling in. I'm like, all right, where's everybody at? Because they're calling me like, hurry up, come in. At this point, I'm not I would say, a lean person. But when they start shooting at you, you become the skinniest, fastest guy in the world, I tell you that. Because they were shooting at me and I was like, oh snap, get thin, think thin, right? At that point, I thought really, I was like, man, I could make the Olympic team, man, I could win. So the fastest I've ever ran for my life, straight through the door. Going through the door, talk to my buddies, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Got a guy who's been shot through the leg, happens to be my, what's called the ground force commander. My special forces team leader was shot through the backside of the leg, all the way down his kneecap. And if you think about like a piece of bread, he just split it. And I was like, ooh, that hurts, bro. That's terrible, right? But in this instance, in all seriousness, there's a lot of gunfire going on. Things are happening. Start talking to planes, and they're like, hey, what we perceived there were only 10 guys, now it's 15. 2 guys on the rooftop. And by the way, guys across the way are shooting at you too. So we count 3, 4, 5 there. I'm like, okay, all right, let's get to work. So it's my job, start talking to planes, start moving, things like that. It's different when you're in a door and you start understanding like the severity of what's happening. And when you're exchanging fire with the enemy, there is no other thing in life that matters other than just killing the enemy and keeping your boys safe, because that's my job. So there's an exchange of fire going on. We kind of eliminate it. I turn around and talk to his name was Ryan. I said, Ryan, what do you want to do? Ryan goes, I want you to drop a bomb on him. And I said, I can't. He's like, why not? I said, it's too close. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, these guys are like 10 meters away, man. He was like almost 30 feet. I was like, I can't do that. If we do that, it's going to kill us all. He's sitting there going, okay, well, you're the expert. Tell me what to do. I said, hold on. Give me a second. Let me think about this. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what can I do, right? I got these planes and things like that, and the world's greatest Air Force out there flying in jets and coming at them. And I'm stuck. What am I going to do? I'm thinking about myself, but I'm mainly thinking about my teammates, their dads, their brothers, their fathers, their cousins, their husbands. I said, their safety is number one, and I got to figure this out. So I try to figure it out. At that point, I come back to Ryan. I'm like, hey, Ryan. I said, hey, through a series of things, we're going to strike, but we're going to do this instead. He's like, okay, do it. At that point, working all these planes and working magic and stuff like that, I get to this doorway. I'm holding security, shooting back, and I got to get a better understanding of where the bad guys are. And I'm kind of curious at that point, so I take a step out. Take a step outside the door, I look up, oh, lo and behold, there's a bad guy, right? We exchange fire. Man, from a kid from San Diego, California, that's just a city slicker, damn good shot, because I got him. But what I didn't see was his buddy was next to him. From an angle, looking over, then I see this would have been his teammate. We exchange a round. I hit him, but he also hits me. At this point, and this is where I say it gets super intimate, like it gets real. So I take a round through the shoulder, through the chest, breaks all my ribs, busts my clavicle, cracks my lung open, comes out my backside, and my life has stopped at that point. And at that point, time stood still. And when it stands still, it's different. At that time, I had a baby in the way. I'm bleeding out my mouth, my nose. I don't know what happened. And I got to fight. So I know there's a lot of people of faith, and I'm a man of faith. I said, Lord, I haven't been the best in my life, but if there's one time I need you to help me out right now, it's right now. Sure enough, got up. Got up, called my medic. His name was Mike. Mike grabs me, pulls me in the building. We start working, starts working on me. He's trying to take my stuff off, and I'm like, no, Mike, I can't. I got to work this. I can't take it off. I'm talking to planes. And when you lose a lung, the other one wants to basically compensate, and essentially what it does is it chokes you out yourself and you asphyxiate. So Mike takes his big old needle out. And at that time, and I'm like, holy, in my head, because I can't talk, I'm like, oh, what is that? Mike says, this is gonna hurt, don't worry. Drills me, opens it up, I'm like, oh, thanks. And he goes, all right, get to work. I gotta work on your other wound. Mike starts packing my backside. We start working, I start talking to jets. Next thing you know, bam, we're back in business. I'll tell everyone, take cover. We start moving. There's a picture right here, which is probably the best interpretation. You see that aircraft there? That's an A-10. Yeah. Awesome aircraft. Has a GAU-8 30 millimeter gun. Rounds, yay big, yay thick, high explosives. It's not really a precision weapon, but thank goodness that we have the Air Force, the greatest pilots in the world, because I asked that guy to put that thing 10 meters away from me and 10 other guys and save our lives. And boy, did those guys come through. You're talking about when you see that and you call it in, telling everyone take cover, and you hear that, you see it on YouTube videos, and it's like, stuff like that. It is a lot different at 10 meters, I'll tell you that. Enough to blow your eardrum out, but also enough to kill 88 fighters that were surround you from a 270 degrees and save another 10 solid Americans. And at that point, we decided, we'll do it again. So we did it again. That was fun. And after that, hey, our HLZ to pick us up with the wounded is about 100 meters, and I get a call back, and they're like, no, it's too hot over there. You guys got to go a mile south. And I was like, helicopters. So we hoofed it. A mile, one lung, holding me up, fighting it all out. Some great Americans get expelled out, right? But ultimately, what it is this. That stuff comes at a cost. 11 surgeries later, roughly 3 years to get back on status, just to go back and get in the fight. That's the physical stuff. What's after is the fact is the mental stuff. Because when you're about to die, now granted, I signed up for it. Just like every other American, right? I knew the risk. But I wasn't gonna let my friends die. If I would have died, okay, they just gotta carry, I'm like 275 at the time, a kid. I was kind of light. But I wasn't gonna let them down. The years after that of like thinking, what could have went better? What did I do? How could I have done it better? Eats you inside. And you hold it, And the reason why I'm even still here is because guys like Ish Villegas, Ronnie Raines, Mike LaMonica, Mike Jensen, my friends. And the fact that we're one, we're a brotherhood, but we're a family. To include our Gold Star members, their family members, the ones that we've lost, all of them. This is what it's about. My story, yeah, I have an Air Force Cross. Okay, it's cool. I didn't do it for that. I did it for my brothers. I did it for every single one that wears that scarlet red beret. Everyone we've lost and stayed in the fight. I'm about 4 months out from retiring, and my next mission is to take care of them and their families. And this is what we're here to support. I'm gonna go every day until I'm gone, and I'll hand it off to my kids. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I'm super grateful that you guys are here, that you're willing to support, purchase, help the foundation out, because it's helping people that need it. We sent them. They had to sacrifice. And at the end of the day, when I leave the service, everyone's like, Rob, who? That's what happens. I'll go to the VA, probably get some care. But then there's other things that I'll probably need help with, or my others will need help with. And that's why the CCF is here, because we take care of our own. We don't rely on the government. We don't rely on other people within the system to take care of them. It is our job. We signed an oath to them too. And I'm grateful to be here supporting them. You know, the next person that's coming up, I share one thing with him very closely. He has this famous picture of getting off a CH-47 in these mountains. And I know, because I read the sit reps, the situational reps that in that area before I deployed to that same area. And the other thing, bond that we have is we've shared those mountains. I've walked those valleys. I've gunfight. Whoever he killed, guess what? I smoked their cousins. And guys like him are the real heroes. These other guys here, it ain't me. I'm just blessed to be in their presence, in the company of heroes like them. Like those guys over there that came from the 26 STS. That's who it is. Ultimately, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be alive. It almost cost me my life, but I'm okay with it. Because at the end of the day, too, I did it for you. I did it for every single American sitting here that's taken the time to be here. And I'll do it again tomorrow if you ask me to. So thanks for you guys' time. I appreciate you all. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be always here. Okay, bud. Okay.